5 reasons why car enthusiasts quit liking cars. This video is going to be kind of personal because, believe it or not, even being a car YouTuber of more than 5 years like myself, there were times where I genuinely wanted a break from cars, and yes, even times where I felt like I wanted to leave the community. And honestly, this is gonna bring us to the main topic of the video about a lot of things that don't just burn me out, but burn a lot of people out to the point that they do quit cars. The first one is a very modern problem, which is ego and status. We're gonna kind of put them together, and a lot of people who get into cars say that they're not into cars or either of these things, but I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of you guys are freaking liars and that's a huge problem that a lot of people have when it comes to ego and status, is they tie them exactly together with, if you insult the car, you're insulting them as a person. And guys, cars are just a hunk of steel and metal and plastic and other crap on them, and really the way I see it is, if you insult a car, it's an unfeeling object, right? It's always different when you do insult a person. I do think that's a bit rude, and even though I believe in freedom of speech, you should still try to be a good human. But because I believe in freedom of speech, I think you're allowed to say whatever the heck you want about someone's build. And the main reason people get so invested in the status of cars and what the status brings them and the ego that's in their car is really just boils down to the fact that it's about money. Yeah, a lot of these people are on 29% APR on a Hellcat they couldn't actually afford, which brings me to the finisher for this entry. When you spend everything to get something, then in turn that something becomes your everything. Imagine insert car. If you spent everything in your life to get insert car, then that's all you're gonna have. All the hours you've had at your work, all the time you spent away from family to put more hours to buy that car. Of course you're gonna get offended when someone makes fun of that car, and understandably, that's not healthy. It's not healthy to buy beyond your means. It's not healthy to throw everything you have at just one item, and we're gonna talk about that more and more in this video. The second reason people quit being car enthusiasts is what I call the endless rat race, or constantly upgrading. This kind of ties into the first entry because more or less it also boils down to buying beyond your means. People need to realize the beauty of keeping one car, and I'm not saying you should all be like me where I've kept 2 cars for like 5 years, right? I get that that's boring, but here's the thing. Hopefully find that darling, like that total sweetheart of a car that you absolutely adore and don't want to let go of really for anything in your life. That doesn't mean you can't own other cars, you'll just own other cars alongside it. And that's when you know someone has put a lot of thought and effort into a vehicle they wanted to own, because they actually hold on to that vehicle and actually love it. And funnily enough, you think it becomes part of their ego, but because they kind of enjoy it and because it's something that already is paid off and they didn't buy beyond their means, it's something that kind of just comfortably exists there. But you will absolutely just appreciate the fact that you allowed yourself the breather room of just keeping something and actually fully enjoying it, because you'll never ever be able to fully learn a vehicle you've only had for 3 months. There's some people I know who own cars for 3 months who haven't even found what all the buttons on their infotainment system does. That really means they're changing cars too frequently when you don't know where your AC button is, because that's how often you're changing cars. Part of the endless rat race is people chase that high, they chase that dopamine kick of purchasing a new car, and not just that, they're actually chasing the congratulations of it. I will actually dissect the psychology behind this. Back in the day, if you bought a brand new car, really the only people you can brag about it to is the guy across the street who's your neighbor, maybe family, and maybe the people who you currently live with, and maybe a few friends and coworkers. That's kind of it, but we live in a day and age on internet where you can now post online to several hundreds, even thousands of people about a new car you bought, and they all say congratulations, welcome to the new chapter of your life, and that does a very unhealthy dopamine kick where people generally get addicted to that. They're like, wow, look at all these congratulations I'm getting, look at all this attention I'm getting. The starry-eyed honeymoon period kind of ends after a while, and again, a lot of people go through what I call buyer's remorse, and that's not just what I call it, there's an actual terminology of that. Basically, it means someone just buys something as an impulse and then quickly regrets it, and then once that regret sinks in, they buy something else to make up for it, which is kind of the wrong thing to do. And if you do have to do that, like if you really truly feel like you bought the wrong car, then at least think harder when you buy the next car, so you don't get stuck in the infinite rat race. You will quit being a car enthusiast, you will hate your life, and you can arguably ruin your youth because of it. I know people who financially destroyed their 20s because they constantly kept changing cars, that they didn't even actually end up liking any of them. Another reason people end up quitting cars is actually a lack of other interests or not having other hobbies. And that kind of sounds funny because you're like, wait, wouldn't having another hobby take away time from being a car enthusiast? Wouldn't it make you not want to be a car enthusiast? Well, you're absolutely right about the taking away time part, and that's actually why this is a good thing. So not having other interests and just only focusing on cars, I mean, come on guys, let's just think about that. Wouldn't you feel burned out? Realistically and mentally and really like many things in life, yes, you would. Okay, so let's say like you have 5 days of school a week normally, right? You have different blocks or different schedules or different periods, whatever your country calls them, where you learn like math and then science and then English. Imagine instead of each hour you're changing instructors for different material, imagine if you sat a whole day of math and then the next day's a whole day of science and then the next day's a whole day of history and so on and so forth. You would get burned out sitting through 7 hours of math every Monday and then 7 hours of science every Tuesday. And that's why that kind of is true of cars. If cars become the only thing in your life and that's all you're spending every single waking hour of your free time, so to speak, if you spend all of your free time on just cars, you can still realistically get burned out on them in the same way that you get burned out of your job for doing repetitive tasks or getting burned out of school for doing one subject too long. This also applies to other hobbies like video games, especially car-focused ones. A lot of things I see happen to younger enthusiasts is they quickly enter the fleeting enthusiast phase because they don't have a driver's license yet and all they do is watch car YouTube videos and live vicariously through YouTubers, and all they do is play car racing video games, and then they're so pent up and frustrated they are too young to actually drive a car that after a few years they're just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna quit and I'm just not gonna be a car enthusiast anymore. They literally quit before they can even make it to the gate, and that's usually due to the fact that they burnt themselves out. And this also goes in correlation with money. So this is the main reason I haven't bought a supercar, and I might make a whole more extensive video about this, but more or less, supercars are marginally better than my Corvette. Again, I know someone's gonna make this about ego and be like, actually, Lamborghinis are way cooler than Corvettes, blah, blah, blah. Realistically, spec to spec, paper, data, even in actual statistic real life, they're probably like 10 to 20% better. Are they a better car? Absolutely. They've got world records, and sure, you know, they get more attention, and yeah, they're flashier, they're more expensive. But that's the thing, they're a lot more expensive. At what point do you justify spending 200, even 400% more on a car if it's only making you feel 10 to 20% happier? Why would I do that when I can spend something that's 5 times, like 500% cheaper that makes me 500% happier? So why spend 2 to 4 times more on a supercar when there are other things in life I want to spend money on? At the time I was shopping for a supercar last year, I also was in need of graphic cards, and what do you know? The few thousand that I spent on those brought me far more enjoyment than the several hundreds of thousands worth that a supercar is, because I just wanted a new computer so I can play a lot more modern games and kind of push them to the limits and even mod them a bit, and that brought me more enjoyment. That's part of having another hobby. When I was in college, I ended up skateboarding, and I also rode gravel bikes, and I kind of still skateboard. I actually have a skateboard and a longboard everywhere when I go to car meets, and I randomly bust them out in front of my friends that are just like, why do you just have that in the back trunk of your Corvette? And it became a running gag where they now know it. So like, sometimes our subscribers, when they see me at meets, they're just like, why do you just have this? I don't talk about it to you guys because it's kind of meant to be my private just enjoyment separate from cars. Again, I just need to have some space from only focusing on cars. When I was a freaking little kid, I just played RuneScape and LARPed like a dorky little kid out in the fields of the Midwest. And that really was cool. Those were golden years of my life. And especially considering that I didn't have a license during those years, it was kind of a good thing that while I did play Gran Turismo, while I did go go-karting occasionally as a kid, I didn't totally fixate on cars to the point that I felt really sad that I couldn't take part in them, and then quickly got burnt out on the fact that I couldn't take part of them. And even if you can take part of them, so this is what I'm gonna say, even for seasoned enthusiasts, as I just talked about, you can still get burned out of cars. The fact that I can spend something less and get something more, and cars are an expensive hobby, which is why I think it's okay to get another hobby, and preferably one that is cheaper than cars. That way you're able to truly use it as like a fallback. So if you're really just going through a bad moment with your car enthusiast career, you can just do something else for a bit that keeps you equally, if not more happy in other aspects, you know what I mean? So that's just a really great recommendation to make it where you guys don't want to quit cars. I'm actually sounding very happy in this video. That's not something I've done in a long time. So you can tell the Super Cub has put me in that much of a good mood where I'm actually happy in a video I'm making. The community. This is the fourth reason people quit cars. So like with any community, the car community is not perfect, and fluff aside, come on, let's be real, it's totally toxic actually. It's one of the most toxic communities. I'm part of both the anime and car community. I would say they're almost even. I'm still more terrified of the real life anime community than I am the car community, but online, I would say the car community is way more toxic. And who am I kidding? In person, car guys are also extremely toxic, and they do let their ego get in the way of a lot of interactions. And this is par for the course for car enthusiasm, unfortunately. And I can see how just being told that can already turn you away and make you quit. But you can lessen these effects, or like I said at the beginning of the video, you can just not make those types of friends or not go to those types of places. You know, my first step and first recommendation really is just refer to the first entry of this video. And then step 2, remind yourself, are you doing this for ego and clout or status? Are you just doing this for you? And if you're just doing it for you, then that means you can keep yourself happy while doing it for you, because if you're not trying to impress other people, you shouldn't have to care what they have to say. Pretty hard to do in today's day and age with the internet shoving things in your face, but it is still possible to do. And speaking of burning out from the community, that brings me back to the final entry of what can burn you out and make you quit being a car guy, which actually ties into the previous entry, and that's hanging around the wrong crowd. So I've hung around snobby, rich supercar owners. I've seen those kids who have families who are super wealthy from Dubai oil money. I've also met people with clapped out VQs that sound like trumpets worse than your high school band. I've met boomers who are so out of tune with life that they actually think that their junky old car that doesn't even run anymore is actually special and one of a kind, when to anyone with eyes it just looks like any other Mustang. There are so many flavors of car enthusiasts, a lot of which I have actually met and interacted with, and a lot of which, I'm gonna be honest, straight up suck. Like, yeah, there's no other good way to put it. So Geobaz is one of my favorite content creators as a car enthusiast because he plays it real. He does not miss. That man don't miss, because he's really good at nailing car stereotypes and how cookie cutter car guys are. I guess car culture is like sad boy culture is a very good example of that. They're literally like to the T, Control C, Control V. We're talking like, I have an old hatchback, it's slammed, I put broken hearts on it because I broke up with my 15-year-old girlfriend once. Dude, I'm so depressed, man. My parents don't like me having a loud car. Life sucks. I'm a sad boy. And it's so cookie cutter how so many of them are like this and aren't even self-aware of it and actually think that's a personality trait. Not just one or two, but like I said, to the point Geobaz can mean them, and to the point that me as a person in Atlanta can confirm, I see these guys, not hundreds, on the thousands. I could go to a car meet in one night and already see like a couple hundred of them there. It's really sad. It's a disease actually. And that really means that if you're getting tired of liking cars because you think you're hanging around the wrong crowd, or they think they really make you not want to like cars because they make you think cars aren't cool anymore, because straight up sometimes sad boys make me feel ashamed to be a car guy. Here's a cool trick you can do, and not a trick, here's a cool recommendation. I'm gonna be real with you, let's talk about psychology a bit. When it comes to making friends in life, the majority of us will make friends via proximity. That's how we grow up in our youth, because again, we don't really have cars. We're stuck with the people closest to us locally. We can't travel long distance across town. This ends up being extended family that your parents might introduce you to. This ends up being the kid in your homeroom class or your roommate in college. Basically people who you are really closely exposed to just because of proximity. However, when you do get your first car, you get the freedom to actually drive out, explore the world. When you finally become an adult and you get to see where life takes you, and more importantly, you get to choose where life takes you, because you can choose your career, you can choose where you move, but you have a lot more freedom. And this allows you to kind of make friends beyond proximity. For the first time ever in your life, it's not about just being friends of someone because they were close to you in a literal sense, not so much in an actual like close to your heart sense. You can actually find people who are close to your heart, people who share interest with you. When you share one interest with someone, for example, cars, like we're talking about, that increases your chance of actually wanting to be friends with them. Again, that kid in your homeroom class, you may not have had any interest in with them. You just only talk to them because you just sat next to each other. So obviously you're going to talk to each other. Again, as adults, when you go to a car meet or you go to a car club or join a car club or do anything car related, you're already guaranteed to meet everyone there has at least one thing in common with each other. They like cars. And that already increases the investment of the relationship of friendships, because now you have something that you are interested in. And you can multiply this effect. If you find people where you share 2 things in common, even 3 hobbies in common, now you're talking about long-term friendships. This isn't just someone who's part of a chapter of your life. This is someone who may be the whole book. My favorite group of friends that I hang out with are people I share 3 things in common with. And this gives me conversations that aren't just about cars. It's not just a single backbone where we're just only having a back and forth of cars as our only topic. That does get boring after a while. And you would burn out from a hobby if you only talked about that. Anyways, that's gonna bring an end to this video. I hope I helped some people out in avoiding the car burnout and avoiding wanting to quit the car community. The less fluffy thing is if you currently are wanting to quit the car community because you're a clout chaser, or even worse, you got yourself an actual financial debt over it, that is a situation you should escape. And I'm gonna recommend this video for you, and this video as well, that will teach you a bit about finances, because a lot of car enthusiasts do need to learn that, because that is a very quick one-way ticket to want to quit being a car guy. Anyways, thanks for watching and thanks for listening to me. Other than that, see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.